All right, Pete, Paul Maurice has a message for you after your Game 1 overreaction.
Everybody just breathe.
Just breathe. Pete, what do the Florida Panthers need to do better in Game 2 to square up the Stanley Cup Final heading home?
For me, it starts with cleaning up in front of their own net and dirtying up in front of Vegas's net. Because when you look at the chaos advantage in Game 1 in front of that net front presence, it was clearly and significantly in Vegas's favor. They threw a lot of traffic in front of Bobrovsky. They had him moving. They scored 2 goals from defensemen. They threw screens in front of him. And then on the other end, Adin Hill kind of operated pretty freely and had his vision in front of him. The only goal where we kind of saw him really out of position was the Eric Stahl goal to open up Game 1. So I think Florida needs to do much better at creating some dirty traffic in front and scoring dirty goals and not necessarily trying to make it pretty, because what we saw through the first 3 rounds was they were able to do that and they were able to get to those dirty areas and win those battles. So for me, that's where it starts for Game 2.
I think what we saw in Game 1 was that the Florida Panthers actually played pretty well. They got a late second period goal to send it into the third period, tied 2-2. It was right there for the taking to win a Game 1 that you probably really had no business winning given the long layoff that you had. I think they need to take a page exactly from what Paul Maurice said and settle in. There's a significant stylistic adjustment between what Carolina did and now what the Vegas Golden Knights do, and just settle into the atmosphere. It's a totally different environment. I don't mean just everything that's going on in Vegas. I mean just the hype surrounding playing in the Stanley Cup Final. The pressure is different. Every part about the game is different. And so you see Matthew Tkachuk just a couple degrees off center. Sometimes that's the best place for Matthew Tkachuk to be, but punching a Vegas Golden Knight in the face in the last 4 minutes and getting tossed from the game, probably not what you want for your best offensive player. So to me, I think the Florida Panthers just need to calm down just a little bit for Game 2. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think obviously the Tkachuk thing, you don't want your best player off the ice. And it felt like the game was over at that point, but there was about 5 minutes left in a 2-goal game. So it certainly wasn't out of reach for Florida at that point. So you do want to keep your cool. And you're right about the stylistic thing. I mean, Vegas keeps play in front of them, and their defensive structure is so much better than what anything that Florida has seen to this point in the year in terms of just, they're good at getting around defense, but Vegas is so good at keeping everything in front of them. So I think you need to get them off kilter, but not lose yourself in the process and rein it in a little bit. And I think that's the message Paul Maurice was trying to send.
Okay, so calm down, create more chaos in front of Hill, and also maybe get another stop or 2 from Sergei Bobrovsky. Yes. That's the playbook for the Florida Panthers, and I'll throw this stat at you, Pete. The Vegas Golden Knights, 2-0 in franchise history in Game 1s of the Stanley Cup Final. The only problem is after that, they're 0-4.